I'm being joined in the studio by Majid Dahiru, newspaper columnist and public affairs analyst. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
So Majid, I'm sure you're one of those who were, when you heard the news that the children 130 have been released and handed over to the Niger. You were very happy.
Of course.
Yeah, but it's like your happiness is somewhat shaky.
Oh, definitely.
What was the joy? What was the happiness?
Well, the happiness on one hand, we have these children recovered. I'm a parent myself, so I know the joy, I know the anxiety too, and the concern that comes with having one or two of your children abducted by criminals and terrorists. So what the government has done to bring them back is quite commendable. I'm happy for the parent, I'm happy for the state government. But is this a sustainable approach towards preventing mass abduction of children from schools? Because we've been on this path for as long as I can remember, whereby we have situations, school children are abducted and negotiations are deployed. They call it non-kinetic approach. These children are released under circumstances that are very shrouded in mystery, in secrecy, in opacity, and it keeps reoccurring. It has become an enterprise. And we have warned the government that while this might be a momentary relief for parents and for citizens, this is by no means a sustainable situation, because whatever it is you are conceding to these guys is emboldening them, is enriching their weapons stockpile, is expanding their terror network. And don't be surprised that you see them
conceding.
A lot must have been considered to them for them to release these children, because these children were released.
You think it's a release, it's not a rescue?
It couldn't have been a rescue. Not even the government can tell us that it's a rescue. It is a negotiated release for that matter. The terms and the conditions are not made public. You had the governor saying that it's unfair to ask such a question as to what was given in return for the release of these children. But one thing is certain. When you continue to do this, it is for me a hallmark, sadly so, of a state that is failing, of a state that is unable to enforce law and order, of a state that is unable to bring justice to perpetrators of evil, of a state that is unable to protect its own citizens. And for me, this should not be the situation. Because I've seen other countries where criminal gangs like this have taken advantage of the weakness of the state to expand their terror network and become so formidable that they actually decided to go for the state itself.
Okay, so in a bid to curb the activities of these marauders, state houses of assembly have enacted laws against kidnapping. I mean, calling for the death penalty. And even the National Assembly has started moves towards that as well. But yet, we find out that there are those who are saying, no, you can't be asking for the death penalty for kidnapping. I mean, is it that the nation in itself and all the different arms, both state and non-state actors, are confused as in what this is?
Okay, I don't think there's a confusion about it, but what I think is confusing is the methodology to be adopted towards getting it stopped. First, for a long time, we have confused policymakers, security strategists, those in government especially, have confused banditry with farmer-herders clashes. And this has been the major albatross in the war against banditry. These two phenomena are completely different. They have nothing in common.
And their modus operandi is not the same?
Completely. You see, the pristine form of farmer-herders clashes is not peculiar to farmers and herders. You won't have farmers and farmers clashes. As long as Nigeria has not been able to standardize its Land Use Act enough, or implement it across the board enough to make adequate provision for all economic interest groups, and with land still remaining in the hands of ancestral owners, you will likely have such clashes, even within members of the same community. So that for me is an economic problem that can be solved through a proper utilization of land that satisfies all economic interest groups, herders on one hand, farmers on the other hand. But when somebody moves a herd of cattle into somebody's farm and destroys crops, that is not a clash. That is criminal trespass, and the law should take its course accordingly. Secondly, when somebody goes into a community, abduct people, kill people in mass, rustle cattle, that should not be confused for formal standard classes or for any justifiable reason. This is pure criminality and should be dealt with as criminality. But we wasted too much time on the semantics of the motivations, the ethnicity of those involved, that they have become such a monstrous security challenge to the Nigerian state. And I say this again, if we continue to pamper bandits and continue to negotiate bandits and continue to concede to them, a time will come that they will be not satisfied anymore with abducted citizens. They will want to go for the state itself and take over the state and the resources of the Nigerian state along with it. It has happened in so many countries. It has happened in Sudan. It has happened in Haiti. The gangs have taken over the country. It has happened in Somalia. We must prevent Nigeria from falling, particularly the other part of this country, from falling under the control of terrorists on one hand and bandits on the other hand. And to do this, the Nigerian state must reassert itself.
All right.
And deploy precise kinetic means to defeat these people. You see, according to Governor Erufai, who once tried the negotiation method, he said, the only repentant bandit is the one that is dead.
All right. Thank you very much. Majid Dahiru is a newspaper columnist and a public affairs analyst, and we would look forward to having you back in this, because this matter, especially when you talk about the land use, standardization of the Land Use Act and land in the hands of the
economic interest groups.
Economic interest groups. But we'll look at that when we bring you back again to the studio. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.